Hey y'all, it's Dr. Tasha Rogers, and I am back. Okay, so this show is so near and dear to my heart because we need it. Lord knows we need it. We need some rescue right now, ladies. I'm calling this show 92% or depression and coping. Y'all know what the 92% is, okay? So I have a guest on with me today because I know a lot about a lot, but it's some stuff I just don't know a whole lot about, and I'm okay with passing it along when I don't know. Okay. I have somebody on the show today who I consider certainly a colleague, definitely a new friend, and an amazing, amazing therapist. And she is Black Girl Magic. She is, yes, a therapist. She is a corporate consultant. So the Fortune 500s call her in to get their people dealt with, so they not on the news. And then also she's an author. And I've started reading one of her books. Y'all know Life Been Life, and I got 30 jobs. So I haven't really been able to get to it the way that I need to, but it is definitely on my nightstand. And I'm just so excited that she's here with us today. Dr. RJ is her name. You will meet her intimately in a minute. But the reason that we called in Dr. RJ is because I felt the need. I'm starting to see a shift in the office. We don't realize a lot of times that everything is so different for us for as Black women. Our heart attacks don't even feel the same. We're not clutching our hearts. Our arm is going to tingle. We're going to have indigestion. We're going to have reflux. Our neck is going to hurt. Our jaw is going to hurt. And we're going to start, ignoring these things or not realizing that these are cardiac symptoms. When we suffer from serious depression, trauma, we're hurt by something, we can sweep it under the rug, but we have abdominal pain, we have knee pain, we have generalized chronic pain. Sometimes they're not able to diagnose it, and not to say that fibromyalgia is not a disease, it is, but a lot of times it's swept in that chronic pain syndrome when actually what you have is some mental and emotional stuff that has been unaddressed, or has not been addressed. But either way, the point is that now, on top of all of that, on top of the hats that we wear, on top of the stigmas that we fight every single day, and this is not woe is me, cry me a river, because we don't need no help. We don't need, nobody running to our rescue, not as if they are anyway, but that's not what we're looking for. But the reality is the reality, right? And so now we're in an environment that is wanting to make us the beneficiaries of something that we're not even the beneficiaries of, and then blame us for the outcomes of programs that didn't even work in our favor. Right. So when we look at DEI and how it mostly benefited white women, now it's like, oh, we're going to cut that off because y'all got this benefit that you weren't qualified for anyway. Who got the benefit and who wasn't qualified? Because I don't know if any of you realize, and if you don't, let me reiterate and instill some Black girl magic into you, that 60% of the master's degrees in this country are held by Black women. 70% of the doctorate degrees in this country are held by Black men and women. So let's be very clear. Who ain't qualified? But we're not going to fight that fight. What we're going to discuss with the help of Dr. RJ, with the guidance of Dr. RJ, is how do we deal? How do we continue to cope with the pileup without nutting up? And then being like, see, I told you, look, what do we do at home, in the workplace, if we share a home with somebody who may have an opposing view? If we have family members that may have an opposing view, which is okay, but how do we continue to conduct ourselves? Not nut up, remain poised and demure in the face of all of this. So, Dr. RJ, I know I just put a whole lot on your plate, girl, honey, and I'm gonna push that plate over to you. If you need a microwave, I got you. But welcome. Thank you for coming to the Dr. Tasha Show for the first time, honey. Yeah. Thank you. We appreciate you. Dr. RJ, if you guys didn't get a chance, let me tell you, she slayed at the retreat. Okay. She got me listening to a motivational song that every morning before I go into the office to get my minds together. She slayed at the retreat, and she will be an invited guest to every retreat annually, and hope she can join us every year. But right now she's on the show today. Welcome, Dr. RJ.
Hey, Dr. Tasha. I am honored to be here. I'm excited. I'm although we're colleagues and friends, I'm a fangirl. I have no problem saying that I am a fan of you. And so being here is just absolutely amazing. And thank you for all that you do for us.
Absolutely. So I, I don't even know where to start. I'm sure you do. I know you're probably starting to see the dynamic shift with your patients and just the energy in general. Um, Help us out. What are we seeing and what do we do?
So, as a clinical psychologist, I mainly work with busy executive women. So, women who are Black women who are doing it all, right? We're the 92%. And on the outside, everything looks good. We're always going to look great on the outside, our lashes done, hair done, lipstick perfect. On the inside, we are crumbling,
A mess.
a whole mess. And when I think about depression, when I see depression, obviously the books say one thing, real life says something else. So just like you said about the heart attacks, those sorts of things, depression in Black women, it comes off first as sleep disturbance.
Really?
Sleep disturbance. So I always ask, how's your sleep? And then I may get it's good. How many hours of uninterrupted sleep do you get Monday through Friday? Maybe I sleep about 4 hours and then I wake up and then I sleep one more. 5 hours total of sleep is good. That's not good. We know that.
Right.
And so sleep disturbance is the first thing. The second thing, and I'll go back to that, the second thing is irritability. And so as Black women, yes, we have a lot to be upset about, but it's the constant, every single thing gets on your last nerve. That is a symptom of depression that is ignored in Black women. Even though irritability is listed as one of the criteria, we're not given permission to be irritable. We're supposed to smile and be grateful and all these things. Even walking down the street the other day, I was told, smile. And I'm like, excuse you? Like, people still do that. And it's just...
First of all, mind your business.
Please mind your business quickly. That's number one. And finally, depression shows up as self-criticism. Yeah, it shows up as self-criticism. In the DSM, when we're talking about the formal diagnosis,
right,
it's called feelings of low self-worth and all of that. For us, it's self-criticism. I'm not good enough. They don't care about me. Why does nobody check on me like I check on them? Why is nobody coming to see about me like I see about them? They must not love me. I'm unworthy. I need 5 degrees just to be somebody.
Gotcha.
So it looks different, and we have to do something about it.
Wow. That is interesting. I think one thing that I would like to delve a little bit deeper into is the nobody's checking on me, my cup is empty. You hear that with a lot of Black women. I think somebody somewhere along the way had a class, listened to a class, and if nobody took anything out of that class, they took refill your cup. Yeah. Your cup is empty. Refill your cup. And so, and I think a lot of times it's bastardized.
Yes.
So, and then people will say, it's in the Bible. You have to, right, what the Bible actually says is your cup runneth over. You're supposed to give the access to other people, but you ain't supposed to take out of your cup to give to other people. It's the access, the runneth over part. But if your cup is empty, she don't runneth over. And a lot of us find ourselves giving and talking out of an empty cup. So tell me, from your opinion, from your expertise, how do we know? I mean, I guess we kind of know when our cup is empty, but if you had to say to somebody, do you feel like your cup is empty? What are you looking to hear from them? And then what kind of pointers do you give them to refill their cup?
That's a great question. So when I think about the empty cup, I think about generational trauma. Or it's so...
Let's hit that. I want to get into that, but okay, go ahead.
So my mother did this, her mother did this, her mother did that, like, and so on. And I think I know it starts from our very traumatic way of being stolen and brought here. It starts all the way in that place, 16, 19, and forward. And during that time, we were constantly abused, and everything, especially for Black women, was always about somebody else, nursing somebody else's child, cleaning somebody else's house, making sure your own family was together. And we are wired to put ourselves last. So it's going to take some work. It's going to take more conversations to bring it to the forefront. Like, that's an illness. It really is.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really, really interesting. So one thing that sometimes gets me is that we look at feeling our or self-care. We're going to light some candles. We're going to pour a glass of wine. We're going to get in that vaginitis causing bubble bath. And we're going to say, okay, well, self-care. But that that leaves me empty. Like, I don't like bubble baths because it causes problems. I don't drink wine, and I light my candles every time I go home just because I like candles. So when you say to somebody, or when somebody says, well, how can I refill my cup? What are some things that you offer them? What do you say? Like, okay, sis, this is what we need to do. This is what we need to stop doing. This is what we need to do.
So
help us out.
Self-care was originally started by Audre Lorde, a Black woman.
Okay.
And she started the term, or coined the term, self-care. She was going through her second chemotherapy. And her physician told her one of the reasons you keep coming back is because you're exhausted. You're doing things for everybody else and your body can't heal. And so Audre Lorde then started writing in her journal and writing about self-care and calling it resistance, calling it a political statement, calling it what it really is. What happened was it was whitewashed into getting your nails done, having a bubble bath. It has nothing to do with that. Those are preferences for relaxation. Nothing to do with self-care. Self-care is every single day figuring out what it takes to keep you all the way filled up so that you can show up as your favorite version of yourself.
Love it. Love it.
Favorite version of yourself.
Love it.
So that might mean, for me, it means getting 6 to 8 hours of sleep on a regular basis is self-care. Okay. It means drinking water, exercising, praying. For someone else, it might mean making sure you spend some time in your group chat, even if you've had a long day, or making sure that you are visiting friends and family, even though you may live in another state. So anything that fills you up, refills you, so that you can show up as your favorite version of yourself.
Love that. Love that. I love that. So now, Doc, I know that corporate stuff is your jam, right? And now we're in a space where I think people have been given carte blanche to do what they wanted to do anyway. They have been given the freedom to verbalize what they were thinking anyway, right? And we all know that. We're like, you were feeling it anyway. You were wanting to do it anyway. Now you just have license to do it. But at the end of the day, we have families to take care of. There is a decorum that you have to follow in corporate America. There is a behavior, but we can only take but so much because what we are is human.
Yep.
So is there, and again, because this is so new, it's okay if this is something like, you haven't truly been like, I haven't really thought it out yet, but how do we show up every day being the best version of who we are, doing our jobs the best way we can? And again, all of these doubts and reluctancies were always on the table, but they were very quiet. Now it's out loud and in our face. So it's like, who are you talking to? First of all, because you're going to do a thing, but you're not going to disrespect me. You're not going to talk all crazy. You're not going to act crazy because that smile, the other cheek, I ain't that kind of Christian yet. That's down the road. I ain't get there yet, okay? Because you only going to get one cheek and you only going to get one tooth, and then we going to scrap. I ain't turning the other, give another. Eye for eye, we both going to be blind up in here. So what can these ladies do on an everyday to get in there, take a deep breath, earn your money, continue to, this is not anything we haven't done, right? And when I say them, I'm not talking about a particular color. I'm talking about a mindset.
Yes.
Because some of thems are black. Okay. So we've been beating them at their own game for centuries, right? So this is nothing new. But again, you and I had a conversation and we were talking generationally, things are different, right? And if you disagree with this, that's perfectly fine. That's what the comments are for. I don't care, but it's perfectly fine. The Gen X's we were always taught, baby boomers and Gen X, we were always taught, you're black first. Whether you're a black lawyer, whether you're a black doctor, whether you're a black banker, whether you're a black grocery store worker, you're black. And that's what you're seen as when you walk into a room. You can't discount that. Mm-hmm. Our younger generations, our millennials and our Gen Zs, and I think because our past was so painful, we earned so much and we did so much better in an attempt that our children did not have to experience that. But I think in them not experiencing that, we did not communicate certain things to them. So now they're in a space socially of, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm a this, I'm a that, and I just happen to be black. So now their reality is going to smack them in the face, because now your homegirl, who's the same lawyer as you, may not have done as well on the bar, may not have done as well, may not present as well, may not be as polished, may not be as smart. She's going to get the job before you.
Yeah.
And this is something that's a new reality for them. So what do? We knew, but now they have license to speak about it. But now the more the working force is more millennial than Gen X and baby boomers. It's more millennial. So now how this new reality smacking them in the face, and you having to deal with this corporate stuff so that they don't nut up and end up on the side of the road. How? That's all I can say is how, because I don't know how to tell you how.
How is a good question. I'll tell you this quick story about my son. Okay. I have a 16-year-old daughter, 13-year-old son, and we were watching the playoffs, football.
Okay.
And he's like, well, who are you rooting for? And I'm like, I always root for the black quarterback. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, well, what about this other team? They've never been to the Super Bowl. You're just going to root for the black quarterback because he's black? And I said, yes. Yeah. And he's like, let me tell you what the boy said in my house. Isn't that racist? And so immediately I'm like, where did I go wrong? Like, what did I do? And what you said about us fighting the fight and protecting the generations under us, because we fought the fight. Every day, my mom said to me, you have to be 10 times as better.
Yes.
Just to get to the table, just Correct. To get in the door.
Correct.
There are people who have never heard that before. Our kids, our nieces, nephews, they've never heard that. And it's going to be a rude awakening. It's happening very quickly. There are going to be feelings of betrayal, sadness, depression, anxiety. And how to deal with that, number one, is embracing the past. We need to talk to our kids about what happened in the past, but also empower them at the same time. Mm-hmm. The way we do that, though, is we model it. Coming home from work, super upset, hollering at everybody, going in your room, slamming the door is not the way to do it, even though we feel like that.
Right.
The way to do it is set boundaries. Number one, leave work at work.
Yes.
Stop doing all these stuff for these people. When you're done, be done. You're doing all this extra. I'm trying to be a rock star. All of the things to make you seem better. When you're already overqualified, that's what's killing us.
Yep.
That's what's making it unbearable. Yep. So the first thing, if we had to have a tangible step, leave work at work, set boundaries, turn off those emails, answer during your work hours, let it be. Be with your friends, be with your family, be with yourself, and focus on you, focus on refilling. That's number one. And do it unapologetically.
You know, I'm so glad you said that, because a lot of that is what I extend to my patients. You know, when I find out that people work from home, because say what you want, if you pay attention, the depression level, especially in those who work from home, is higher. Yeah. We need people. We need boundaries. We need people. We need structure. So this whole work at home thing, it has gone to a whole, but I would tell my patients, hear this, at the footer of your email, you need to put these emails are checked between this time and this time. If your email is not sent between this time and this time, it will be reviewed at the next business hour, because your boss was up at 10 o'clock at night, sent an email at 11 o'clock, and then wants to call you at 8 o'clock that, hey, did you address my email? Those are your working hours.
Right.
These are my working hours. No, I did not address your email. Now, at 8 o'clock when I start, when you pay me, that's when I'll be addressing your email. Because guess what? You don't get paid any extra money. And the you can do 50 things right. The one thing you do wrong, your job will be on LinkedIn. And they will not be apologetic about it at all.
Yeah.
So set some boundaries. I'm like, clock out when you're supposed to clock out. Don't be working all the, oh, I didn't eat all day. Why? Because I had a project, and so, I definitely, share that, with my patients. And I want to your point where you were saying what we were taught.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, do you remember, and I know you do, once a year, Roots would come on TV.
Yes.
You remember
sit
that?
Down and watch that.
At the whole family. It would be like
everybody.
an hour or two for a whole week.
Yes.
Your pajamas were on, your hair was done for school, dinner was ate, put up, everybody had their bath, and you bet not, don't move, don't talk, and you're only going to the bathroom on a commercial, okay? And what that did was it reminded us where it all started. And I feel like if you don't have a foundation for starting, how can you grow? If nothing has a foundation, how can you grow? When I was in college, one of my colleagues, I don't know if it was a colleague or I don't know if it was one of my woke friends. I really don't know. But somebody put me onto a movie called Sankofa. Have you ever seen Sankofa?
I've heard of it, but I haven't watched it.
Girl, Sankofa is probably what your children will benefit more from than, well, no, Roots is Roots. Roots is going to be a fundamental. We all need to sit up. We all need to watch that. We need to take all these millennials and sit them down and watch Roots, because they call them the enslaved people. They're not the enslaved people. They were slaves. Let's call it what it was. Let's not make with the enslaved people as if it's a race that you can check on a box. Don't do that.
Yeah.
So don't even get me started with that. But Sankofa was a movie. It was about like a very fair-skinned black model, very fair-skinned. And her team, who were all white males, the photographers, they came over to Africa. I want to say it was Ghana and they had done some photo shoot stuff or whatever near the tunnel. What do you call the thing? The rite of passage.
The point of no return.
Point of no return. Yeah. But it was like over there. It wasn't at the point of, it was over there. So essentially it made it where she got lost in the tunnel. So when she was back in the tunnels or whatever, she got lost in time. So it took it back to the slavery times. So again, she was fair-skinned. She could pass as white, and she frequently did. That was her jam. So when she went back, she saw a slave owner. She's like, oh my God, thank you so much. But it was her photographer. And he was like, get away from here, nigger, or something he said to that degree. So then it was like, wait, what? So it took her back, and she had the experience of being a slave woman, the things that they endured, the abuses that they endured. And she finally escaped after some time, ran back into the woods and kind of ran back into the tunnels. And then they were like, where you been? We're about to leave. We couldn't find you. But it was the same, her photography team, but they were the people who had beat her and raped her and all those when she went back in time. And she was traumatized. Yeah. It was just like, and so the thing is that no matter what you have grown to, no matter what you think you are, no matter what you can pass for, at the end of the day, it still is what it is. And I think we need to start instilling that in our children to say, hey, this is what it was. This is not what it is. We've come an incredibly long way, but this is what it was. And this is the stock that you come from. This is the strength that you come from. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's still out there, and there's still people who feel that way and believe that. So you need to understand that. You don't necessarily need to move like that, but you need to know that there are people out there who do move like that. So I think that's our failure. Yeah. And succeeding for them and getting them to the next level. You say, well, what do you do? Damn, you send them to school with the white kids and they assimilate, and you don't want to have slavery like, hey, my peoples were a slave in front of them all the time. But then you send the kids with the school with the black kids, and then you got this going on, you got that going on. Where the hell you send them? Yeah. So I don't envy your struggle as a parent. I just don't. Good luck with that. But the point is that we are in a funny place. We're in a funny place. And, if we had nothing before, we had, for the most part, you got some outliers out there, but we had each other, right? And that helped us kind of bind together, bring experience together, put our thoughts together at the dinner table and say, here's how you're going to deal with her. Here's how you're going to deal with him. But now we're disjointed as a race. And it's our kids that are disjointed from us. And so what do? You understand? So it's like, yeah, I want to help you deal with Sarah and Susie, but you don't even see Sarah and Susie for who, for what, for who, for. And then again, we can't get fixated on other people. We never have. You'll never get where you're going fixated on other people. Us. What are some coping techniques for when somebody says, hey, and says something to you all crazy? Do you think you can handle that in the workplace without turning around and being like, let me tell you something? Like, what do you generally recommend when women are being kind of pushed to the point of, and Black women are done this way, we're pushed to the point of reaction. Like, I'm going to passively aggressively do stuff to you until you respond aggressively. And then I can say, see, look at her. That's who she is. Yeah. What techniques do you give?
I would say not to blame us, but we can take some of the responsibility.
Sure.
As Black women. The one thing that I see is that in corporate America especially, we brand ourselves as doers instead of innovators. And so we go in, we want to do all this, fix everybody's problems, put out all the fires, be the hero. And then we end up being branded as, give that to her, she'll fix it. But not as, let's ask her for her ideas. Because we're working. We're working harder than anybody else, longer than anybody else. And so then we're seen as like a workhorse and not a thinker. And so we can start by setting those boundaries. We can start by saying no confidently from the jump. We can start by being organized. So if someone, if your manager or boss says, I have 15 things for you to do, having the courage to say, what are your top 3 priorities? Because this 15 is not doable in 8 hours or 6 hours or whatever. What are your top 3? We have to train and teach people how to treat us from the jump. Set those boundaries, because if we're there, it's because we're overqualified anyway.
Right. And
so have the courage to remember that boundary setting is going to save us across the board.
I love that. And, you know, that was, I hope y'all caught that. That was the real pearl, because what I picked up was we have bastardized what we were told. You have to do 10 times more. Yeah. You have to be 10 times better. What we've taken that to is you got to go in the office and do 10 times more work than everybody else. And that's not what we were saying. What we were saying is, you have to train 10 times harder.
Yes.
You have to be 10 times smarter. You have to get it 10 times faster and better than others. But when we go to implementation, that 8 hours is everybody's 8 hours. And so no, we're not saying that you need to pick up the weight of the department and carry that. Because what Doc just said, if I'm verbalizing this properly, is that communicates the improper thing to people.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, and the boundaries, yeah, don't cross them. Don't cross them. You might not want to. But, you know, wow. So we have to check ourselves.
Absolutely.
We have to check ourselves. So I know you wrote a couple of books. And like I said, I alluded to them in the beginning. I'm going to let her speak to her books, because, you know, I read for pleasure for years, and then medical school came. I don't like to read too much anymore, but both of these books are things that I need correction with in my own life. Okay. The first book is Executive Burnout. And I'm going to let her discuss that book. And the next book is The Art of Balance. They're very easy reads. They're big words. It's not miserable, and it's not 100,000 pages. So you can literally get into these as a weekend read. And pick up the pointers that you need. So Doc, why don't you tell us about your first book, Executive Burnout? What does that encompass?
Absolutely. And Dr. Tasha, I love to read. I love to listen to audiobooks.
Maybe I need to get into that.
Because the sitting down reading, I'll be asleep in like 5 minutes.
That's my problem.
The audiobooks.
Okay,
and
so, let me get into that.
The reason I like audiobooks is because I can choose, I can look at the time, and if it's too long, I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to listen to it.
Okay.
And so this helped me write my own books in a way that I knew I would want to receive them. So they're conversational. It's basically me talking. There are steps, there are strategies, it's practical things you can do right away.
Okay.
I wrote it in a way that if someone's sitting down getting their hair braided for the day, they could be about done.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's my thought. Like, or if you're sitting at your child's game or all those practices and stuff, you can just get right to it and be done with it.
Okay.
So executive burnout, 7 reasons why high performers crash and burn before reaching their full potential, talks a lot about what we're talking about today. What can we do, as my teenagers say, so that we don't crash out by the time we get to where we work so hard to be? Often we work so hard, we get there, and then we hate our lives. We're like, I done did all of that. I done missed 10, 15 years of friendships, relationships, studying, doing this, doing that. You get to the top and it's miserable. So executive burnout speaks to that, and it helps us really just understand some things that can be done, understand what's happening and why.
Okay.
The art of balance is the sister to that. So the art of balance is, okay, now what? I know why. What do I do from here? So the art of balance is 3 easy steps for busy, burned out professionals who want to have it all. 3 things: authenticity, relentless rest, and time consciousness. Okay. In each of those sections, there are practical things that you can do step by step so that we can be done with burnout and we can minimize this depression, minimize the anxiety, minimize the physical health effects that come along with being overwhelmed, overworked, and in a way that's often because of us.
Wow. Okay. So, I mean, it sounds like to me, your next book needs to be like How to Overhaul You. Yeah. Like, I mean, because I think we have, if I were to say it, based on what you're saying and based on how I'm receiving it, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like piece by piece, we have all the ingredients, right? But we're not putting this pie together right. And when it comes out the oven, it's a hot mess. But we got all the ingredients.
Yeah.
And I think that we need guidance from somebody because, you know, in this world of social media, let me keep it 100 with you. To me, you either have professionals who know what to do and don't know how to come across to people so they can't communicate it. Yeah. And you have great communicators who don't know what the hell they talking about because they done some internet class somewhere and they just calling themselves Dr. Somebody on Instagram and ain't Dr. No daggone body. So you got people who can communicate and they communicating the wrong stuff, or you got people who absolutely don't know what the hell, they know what the hell they talk about, but they don't know how to say it, which is the same in my field as well. So again, we are going to need you to put together a tour, a book, or something to say, here are the ingredients. And if you need to list them like a recipe, list them like a recipe. Okay? And we need you out here blowing the whistle, Doc, because the oven is on, the ingredients are there, but the put together, we failing.
Well, Dr. Tasha, I think you just invited yourself to write the foreword for my next book.
Okay, let's do it, girl. Let's do it.
Yes. So I'm actually in the middle of writing self-care for the busy executive woman.
Okay.
And I love that because I'm going to add that in, give you your credit, of course. But it makes a lot of sense. Like, we need to know what to do, and not in a stuffy way, not using all these words that nobody understands. They're
regular
just
every day. Like, girl, tell me how not to kill this man.
Yes.
Tell me how not to put these kids out. Okay? Because, girl. So yeah, I think that is, and I love that because, like I said, when we first started this conversation, I literally was like, what are we gonna do? Because I have so many people come in and just like, I just feel bad. Like, and it's nothing happening in my life. It's just everything. The energy is bad. Like, you know, the white lady at the grocery store, you got one time to look at me too hard, and she might be cool. But at the end of the day, people don't know what to do, where to direct this energy, which is quickly turning into negativity.
Yes.
And then that's just all bad. So I'm like, how do we recycle this negative energy, not see this cup that's very half empty, as half empty, and we try to recycle that thinking into half full, and we do what we always do a presto changeo and make it work in our favor.
Yes, yes. And I think if we're talking about what to do, I can share with you what I do,
Okay.
and then also what I share with some of my clients, patients. Um, black women are remarkable.
Who you telling? I hope y'all heard
And
that.
um, it's difficult for me to not internalize and take it personal when we're mistreated. Like, my first thought is, I want to take off my earrings and fight.
Cause yeah.
Because there's a collective trauma, there's a
Mm-hmm.
collective disrespect, there's a collective just feel of disgust for women I adore, and of who I am, obviously, but
Right.
who I adore. I have the privilege of spending most of my time with amazing Black women. And so, how I deal with it first, I tell myself, you can't go off because you have to be there for them. They have to have your overflow. If I'm empty, I'm no good to anybody.
Okay.
And so, for those of us who are like, what do we do? The first thing is to do everything that it takes to stay filled up. Sleep, pray if you pray, fill your body with healthy things, drink water, keep your physical temple in order. Spend some time meditating. So one thing that we talked about at your conference, which I really enjoyed, I'm looking forward to it again, is to not pick your phone up first thing in the morning, right? Just helping other people right away, putting out their fires. Fill yourself up. We have to be armored for this battle. We have to have it together. I think about queens and how they rule over. I think about Black queens. They're not frazzled. They're adjusting their crown. They have a team around them that they delegate to, and they make things happen. And so we can remember by, again, we started by talking about self-criticism being a part of depression. We can combat that, not clinical depression, but just this low-level icky depression that eats away at our bodies, the allostatic load, the things that bothers us on a daily basis. We can deal with that by filling ourselves up with affirmations, reminding ourselves of who we are, and surrounding ourselves with people who also remind us who we are. So that's how I've been coping. I don't read my news on social media. I don't watch CNN on loop, or I should say any news show, not just CNN. I don't watch news shows on loops. I read my news. I take 15 minutes a day. And it'll be like Bloomberg, New York Times, or something that's not sensationalized. I read what I need to read, and I move on.
Okay.
So another practical thing is be careful what we're consuming, because we will snap if we're constantly consuming, constantly on edge. I do psychological commentating for like For My Man, Fatal Attraction, those sorts of shows. And the snapping happens often because it's one thing that had nothing to do with the other, but it's like the overflow, the pressure cooker. And we're in a pressure cooker right now. We have to do whatever it takes to stay at a level that allows us to show up as our favorite version of ourselves and keep our power.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, yeah. Wow. You know, this thing it's a lot.
It is.
It is a lot. You're like, I didn't sign up for all of this. I want the soft girl package. I want to move to Bali with my sugar daddy and just have some mango and whatever them other tropical fruits are that they have over there, because I'm scared to fly, so I don't go too far. Whatever those tropical fruits are that y'all be eating. I just want the soft life. I mean, we didn't sign up for this. My God. But I mean, I guess, to whom much is given, and he has given us much.
Yeah.
Much is required. But honey, this is a lot.
It is.
This is a lot. But guys, I want to take the time to let me show you what the books look like. Slide those over, Doc. She's not gonna self-promote, but I'm gonna promote her because I'm so proud. This is how thin they are. And again, she gave me something with the audiobook because I know, but I'm not tech savvy. And I bought the book. I done downloaded it the wrong way. Then I can't find it. Then I'm mad because I done spent my money and I can't find. So I'm gonna have my team download some stuff on my phone. But Executive Burnout is gonna be the first book. And I thought this was amazing because a lot of times, people tend to think that if you're a black female, that you kind of got it all. Well, you're an executive and you this and you CEO, and people are only thinking about what you can go buy.
Yep.
And then, by the way, let me just let you know something. Rich is not about how much you got. Rich is about how much you keep. So if you got $20 million in bills, $21 million in bills, and you only make $20 million, you just as poor as anybody else. So don't think that because of what somebody is able to buy, that eradicates other problems or any problems for that fact. So this made me so happy because it took the time to say, you know what, it ain't easy.
Yeah.
It ain't easy, and it encompasses so much. And because you've accomplished and because you've succeeded, it doesn't make it any easier. It makes it harder.
Yes.
And so executive burnout is a thing. And I think sometimes when we're burned out, we don't even realize it and we don't even recognize it. And so this was major for me. When I saw this, I was like, ooh, initially, I think you had given me this book, The Art of Burnout. And I was like, no, I saw another book. And so I really, really, really wanted this book. And I'm glad that this is the sister book to this because this really caught my eye. Because I'm like, am I burned out? Am I giving my patients the best version of myself? Like, what do I need to do? Like, literally, this was an information book for me because I'm like, if I'm burned out, I don't even know. Mm-hmm. And if I am, how do I fix it? Because you have to realize there's a problem before you can actually go fixing that problem. And I told y'all, stop buying all that damn wine and bubble bath. So there's that. And then we have the art of balance, which is also an amazing thing. Because one thing that I always listen to, my pastor said one time, the right thing at the wrong time is still the wrong thing. And that brings me, that for some reason, that phrase comes to mind when I look at the art of balance. And it's like balancing means, do you have what you need where you need it? And that was it kind of is befitting. So for me, am I burned out? How do I fix it? How do I recognize it? And then how do I balance everything that I've been taught and learned? So this for me is my my March. March for me is going to be Black Women's Health Month, Mental Health Month. I don't know if that's a thing.
We're going to make it a thing.
We're going to make it a thing. My office is actually closed this year on March 10th, which is the National Black Women's Day of Rest. I thought in order to show respect that we're closed.
I love that.
I'm closed. It's one day of work. I'll work a little bit more the day before. I'll work a little bit more the day after. But out of respect, I'm closed that day. And so I don't even know what day that is. I don't know whether it's a Friday or a Monday. I think it's a Monday. So what I decided to do was take a long weekend. I said to a friend, and taking these books with me, I keep grabbing them. These are hers. I already have mine. But I said to a friend for Christmas. They said, what do you want for Christmas? I said, there's like this boat. There's like a boat, but it's a house, and it's a townhouse. It's like a 3-story townhouse, but it's a boat on the water, and it's in North Carolina. And I said, I want to spend a weekend on that boat. I'm going to go to the grocery store. I'm an avid seafood lover. I'm going to get a bunch of seafood. I'm going to get some, I really don't do wines, but I do sparkling juices and all types of different stuff to feel fancy. And just veg out for the weekend and read.
I love that.
And read, catch up on some reading, get it all figured out for myself. And I'm going to do that on that long weekend. Where I'm taking off that National Black Women's Day of Rest. I implore you guys, if you have time off from work, don't mess up your money now. Don't be calling me with your Georgia Power bill. But if it's something that is feasible for you to do, take that day off, and not just from work, from your family, from anything that stresses you. If you wake up in the morning, brush your teeth, put on some sweats, and decide to just walk around the city to just see things, take yourself to lunch, do that. Just take a spiritual rest, an emotional rest, if it's something that you're able to do. Please, 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 I implore you. And then, you know what I want to kind of see? With us as Black women, if every Black woman takes that day off, will the whole damn country collapse? I wonder, will the economy collapse? Will these businesses be kind of shut down?
Oh, they're going to feel it.
They're going to feel it. I feel like it should be a movement. Let's see what happens.
I'm down.
I'm down too. So if you work for Atlanta Premier at Atlanta, or you're patient Atlanta, don't call us on the 10th. Don't call us. And I mean March 10th, not February, March 10th. So just guys, consider making that a movement for us. Okay, we deserve that of each other, and I'm gonna be bigging that up the whole month of February. And then for Black History Month, it's just us this year, right?
It's all us.
And you know what? It's always just been us.
Yep.
So it is what it is. I think that we should be more purposeful about it this year.
I agree.
I mean, how many of y'all having cookouts? I might have a cookout. No. Food is high as giraffe coochie. I ain't finna be feeding nobody for free. I might have a couple dinners or so. I ain't having no cookout. But anyway, all right, Dr. RJ. I didn't kept you here long enough talking my trash. But I appreciate you immensely. I hope you guys picked up what she's putting down. I hope you picked up some of the pointers. And, when you get these people who are like, do this, do this, that's too broad. Mm-hmm. Everybody's different. Everybody requires something different. And that's a first red flag that they talking some boo. Okay. So again, I think that it is healthy for us to recognize when we're in a pressure cooker, yes. How to get ourselves out of that pressure cooker, and you have to figure out what your decorum is going to be in your personal environment. But there have to be some shifts, and don't apologize for it. It's okay. And I think the way to reel things back in is, like she said, boundaries, being able to say no, unapologetically, and understanding what working harder actually means, not carrying the load, working harder. They're different things. And we got to all figure that out for ourselves, because she dropped some serious knowledge with that today. So I hope you guys picked up something. I hope that, you heard a lot of what she said. We will definitely have you back, Dr. RJ, because I appreciate you. So when crazy stuff comes up, it's like, call Doc. We need to figure out what direction we need to move with this, honey. So that we can, be demure, but let people know we're not playing, and don't play in our faces. So thank you for joining Dr. Tasha After Dark. We appreciate you, and we'll see you on the next show. Bye.